Wrestling fans, what's up? Doug and Mike here from WrestlingRumors.net. You're on Wrestling Warm-Up, the only Raw pre-show worth watching, and the only one that really truly exists anymore that you actually will want to watch. And that's right, coming from you from the dungeon, from the man cave, if you will. And we're hotter than George Costanza on a hot summer night. That's right. Joining the cast of crew from WrestlingRumors.net, the panel that usually joins us. We're actually missing the voices of the voiceless this evening, but we do have Mr. John Alba actually being able to join us on a Monday night, and Chris Walter, of course, as always, Walter Sports, back in his humble abode. The globe is not in the shot tonight for some reason, but he's back in that. When you say it like that, it's like I was about to say he's back in that ass, but he's not back in that ass. He's back in his room.
That you know of.
not downstairs. Not downstairs in his in front of the china cabinet.
With his African American girlfriend.
Hey, I didn't say anything like that. I did not pull a Vince. I did not pull a Vince McMahon. I did not say American.
She won't be losing her anytime soon.
In any place that never happened. I'm rewriting history. That never went down. But let's talk about Battleground for a second. I want to get everybody's opinion.
We have to.
Yep, because it's the only way we can go into Raw. It's the only way we can seamlessly transition.
Hashtag Battleground.
All right, let's talk about Battleground. Not the best of shows. I've seen worse, but I was actually kind of, at one point, I don't know who's tapping on what, but stop it. I've seen worse. I would rather have, I kind of was praying for a Beware of Dog power outage at one point. And one of those things where, I think it was Battleground last year where we had a couple of power issues. So I was kind of thinking that could have happened this time and we would have been okay. It wasn't fantastic. And it left a lot of things to be desired. I thought a couple things worked and were good. The opening match was absolutely fantastic between the Usos and the Wyatts, and just as we talked about before the pay-per-view last night, the Wyatts can lose every single pay-per-view match, and as long as they do a performance like this one, and as long as they stay dominant on free TV like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, they're going to remain strong. They're not going to look weak. They're just not. And I thought that was a good segment. I thought the Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins stuff, as disappointing as it was that we didn't get a full match, it made what's coming up next seem even more important. And I liked that aspect. Now, that being said, the rest of the show I could have done without ever sitting through. It was 3 hours to me that just bored the piss out of me. I made memes for 2.5 hours just because there were some funny pictures coming out of the pay-per-view. But it was a pay-per-view filled with botches, just sloppy. It was sloppy booking, sloppy performances, sloppy creative. Everything was sloppy, and I would like to hear your opinion on this pay-per-view. Everybody, just give me something. I say it's sloppy. That's my one-word explanation.
I didn't think the booking was as much the problem, which is usually the problem with a bad pay-per-view. I thought it was a pretty straightforward booking of a show. They didn't take too many risks, which isn't always a bad thing. It was the in-ring work, which was really sloppy, and the production, which was, that too. They showed us The Miz on the ground, and over again. At that point, someone had to have said to Miz, "Hey, listen, your cover's been blown. Just go back in there and go in and out each time, so we can at least just make note of it." Because it was so bad, and Jericho and Wyatt, they had some miscues, and Sheamus had some miscues. The only match that really didn't have any botches other than the Usos match was the main event, and that was just a safely booked match with just a lot of false finishes. So take that for what it is.
Well,
the second fall of the Usos match was botched when he pinned Harper. His shoulders were up.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, there were botches in every match. I don't care if you say there weren't in the first match. There definitely was. If you say there weren't in the main event, there definitely was. I was calling them every single which way.
It wasn't. Something just was off. And maybe it's burnout. Maybe they're just tired. I don't know.
Which
Seriously, when the
understand.
Usos and Harper and Rowan went back to the locker room, I'm sure everyone back there just gave them the finger and said, "Screw you, thanks a lot," because nothing was able to follow that third fall. I've never seen anything like that. I was suspect because I felt like 2 out of 3 falls. We've already seen these guys wrestle each other a dozen times. Why do we need 2 out of 3 falls? But holy crap, I was never enthralled in a tag team match as much as I was in that third fall. And yes, again, for the second straight pay-per-view, I'm the only one on staff who picked the Usos to emerge victorious. I just want to remind everyone about that. I will still stand by my prediction that the Ascension are going to be the ones to take off the belts. And as Doug said, the Wyatt family never need to win a championship. That's how good that group is. They get over with their characters, with their promos. They never need to be champions. But God bless those guys. They put on a Match of the Year candidate. Everything else was sloppy. That's what I'm going to remember Battleground for, the botches.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pay-per-view that's just not going to be...
I think this pay-per-view, if you were to read it as a script, it would have been a all right pay-per-view. When you see it on television,
if you read it as a script,
yeah, like if you read, okay, this is. If you were like, okay, this is what's gonna happen.
If you were reading WrestlingRumors.net's result coverage and didn't watch the pay-per-view,
right?
That's what I'm saying. And you removed like any comments of the botches and it was edited. That I think it would have been a decent pay-per-view.
Well, that could be the case for any pay-per-view then.
Yes.
You just read it.
If you write results,
I'm saying if you have a great pay-per-view and you read it, it's still going to come off as great. If
you're losing me here, man. I don't.
He's trying to make the argument that the booking is not the fault of this particular show. It was more
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, that's what
the show had potential going in. We were excited about the show.
Yeah. But I still don't get the booking of Jericho Wyatt. That one threw me for a loop a bit.
Oh, if I was the only one other than B-Song who picked the one that happened.
You know what, Alba?
It's annoying, isn't it?
Suplex you into a windmill.
It's annoying.
Here's the thing, Will Benson.
Well, I'm the only one that picked Rusev by count out, so suck it. I mean,
Will Benson got the best out of all of us with his
whatever. Usos, the most judgmental guy on the staff who always hates on the Usos. I picked him twice. Take it to the bank, whatever. Vote in your count-out victory for Rusev, Doug.
What?
If I could describe this pay-per-view in one word, it would probably be awkward. Just because, like you said, the timing was so off. That Jericho Wyatt match was so far below what I thought it would be. Even the finish was just. It felt like it was mistimed and just. I don't know. It did not. I don't know if it was the crowd.
They want that one back.
The crowd was so unexpected. The crowd reaction was so unexpected that they lost momentum with that. And yeah, Walter, like you said, the tag match. Yeah, you put that at the front. It's just like, all right, well, I'll check this out for the rest. But yeah, you're not going to get that momentum or that kind of a passion from the fans to stay consistent afterwards.
It wore them out.
It did. It wore them out, but that's been the consistent booking as far as pay-per-views go. Put the Usos on first, get the crowd hot, and
in this case, overheated.
It's worked, but I mean, a 2 out of 3 falls match, it exhausted the crowd, and then when you're getting botch after botch after botch, it's just one of those things.
I had people tweeting at me today, Doug, saying that the Wyatts were the ones carrying that match and that the Wyatts were the only ones drawing reaction. And I still can't believe that people are, and I'll use this word, people are ignorant to the fact that the Usos get a reaction, that they have crowd support, and that people are invested in seeing them.
But those are the people.
Because they were tied to Cena for a little while.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's the same marks that have said from day one that the Usos aren't over. I mean, I know plenty of wrestling experts that still say the Usos aren't over, or that they're not to the caliber of praise that they should be.
How can you be so oblivious to that?
I don't get it. The guys come in, they do excellent work every single week. They get they're starting to sell really good merchandise, especially with children.
They're funny.
They're funny. They're showing more charisma. They're showing they're actually getting interview segments backstage, which allows them to show their character. We're getting more of who they are, and they're consistently overperforming in the ring. They're consistently the best start to a pay-per-view, and that's why they're getting put on every single card at the top. And I mean, there's organic, serious fan backing of them now. I don't see how people still can say they're not over and they don't deserve to have the titles and they don't deserve to be where they are yet. That the Wyatts carried the match last night, that's stupid. That's just stupid.
I mean, they were great too, don't get me wrong, but it just...
What an awesome double superplex by Rowan, man. That was sick.
Yeah, it's ignorant.
Yeah.
It's ignorant.
Well, look, you know what? Rowan looks great. Harper looks great. They're all
Rowan's coming around.
Rowan stole that match with that double superplex. I saw that, I thought to myself, and I thought about months ago when people were knocking Rowan as the weak link. I thought to myself, man, he stepped his game up huge.
Well, that says
match.
more about Harper than Rowan. I think people are just really high on Luke.
That's true, but I mean, it's great to see though that he's finally starting to build on. He's finally starting to build on his size and putting some very innovative offense in there.
Okay, Ed, I hear you. I feel you. He did show out in that match last night, but if I told you that tonight the Wyatt family's breaking up, Bray Wyatt's not going to be with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper anymore.
Who's moaning in
who is breathing like that?
Getting off right now.
Someone's getting off my commentary.
This was the best match ever.
I mean, I know I'm about to start a debate, and but we need to chill out a little bit. If I told you tonight, Ed, that Wyatt family, no more. Luke Harper's over here, Eric Rowan's over here. How long do you expect Luke Harper to be where he is on the mid-card, and how long do you expect Eric Rowan? Luke Harper's going to extend, and Eric Rowan's going to stay right here.
You're right. You're entirely right, Doug. I'm not saying that he's at his best possible position.
I'm sporting their freaking T-shirt.
But what I'll say is that he definitely took a huge step up from where I saw him at months ago.
I'm gonna just start muting everybody if
they're on Brazzers.
Who is literally moaning into their microphone?
No one breathes like that, man.
Sweet Lord.
Alva's tired.
Oh my God. Let's move on. Let's actually talk about what's at hand, and that's coming straight out of this pay-per-view into Monday Night Raw. The fallout is tonight, of course. And we're championless on this episode of Monday Night Raw. Our champion is not here. And
Abeyance.
It's the guy. He's in absentia. He's not in abeyance.
Fantasia?
We have a champion. He's just in absentia. So we're going to see now a lackluster build with Brock Lesnar to John Cena over the next few weeks without them even crossing paths until 2 weeks before SummerSlam. Is anybody excited about seeing that on TV at all?
This is where he makes his money, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I can tell you how the booking is going to go, and I don't like that because I really know nothing about wrestling.
We know.
So I don't like
for a bit of that.
Do they do a backstage segment? Maybe Lesnar just destroying Cena.
Well,
Cena's not there at all tonight.
Put it like take like a week ago. We'll just have Cena laid out.
No,
they won't.
they're gonna have Cena or Heyman and Brock come out and be like, "This is my client, blah blah blah. He wants a shot at the title." The next week they're gonna have Cena come out and respond. Heyman's gonna come out again the next week after that because Cena's gone again, and then Brock's gonna come out that next week, the week 4 in this, and destroy Cena.
Oh wait, Triple H is the one who's announcing the match.
Probably gonna go.
Correct.
Triple H on WWE.com. Yeah, Triple H is going to come out and say who the next challenger is, and it'll be Plan C. It'll be Lesnar.
Yep, it's going to be Plan C.
Even though Plan B never happened yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes zero sense. Again, when y'all defend the fact that the booking wasn't sloppy, horseshit. Because yes, it was. The booking was sloppy. You can't for week after week after week after week build towards this pay-per-view being if Plan A doesn't work. We don't get the title off of them and get it on Orton, then we're instigating Plan B.
Well, I think
Plan B in, and then you're talking about Plan C. If we jump the gun here, if tonight is Plan C gets thrown in immediately, and it's Lesnar and it's not Rollins, then Lesnar has always been Plan B from the start, and Rollins is actually Plan
I don't care what people say. I think
What if-
Rollins did get hurt last week. I think Rollins did actually get hurt, and I think they had to pull some kind of audible last
I
night.
agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And they
think
should have
it's-
canceled it immediately after. They shouldn't have advertised it the way they did.
And
And I
for
mean,
all-
Ambrose attacking Rollins backstage, like they're gonna kick him out of the building. How many times have we seen that, like each and every week on Raw? Let's kick everyone out of the building when they get into a scuffle backstage. I thought that was very weak.
Well, I like the fact that he came
Well,
back
you know
and
what?
got more interaction. That was nice.
You know what? There was even a botch. We were saying like that. There, like a few things. There was even a botch there the first time. They fell before Ambrose threw Rollins into the thing. So there was a botch even there. I'm sorry, we're not supposed to be talking about the pay-per-view, but even there was a botch. So the whole pay-per-view was completely
And
random.
Either way, I mean, it doesn't matter. The thing is, to all the marks that say, you know, that as soon as I made mention of the fact that the match probably didn't happen last night on Twitter, as at WrestleRumors we were doing live tweeting, and I made mention that they probably didn't have a match because Seth Rollins' knee was actually probably a little, you know, in worse shape than they thought. And I had a bunch of people responding to me telling me that was horseshit, that didn't happen, that rumor, that was just a rumor, and there wasn't actually a knee issue, and blah blah blah. Like you should know that. You run news website. You're an idiot. Blah blah blah. Go suck yourself. You want to talk about me? You want to talk to me about this stuff? This guy honestly had
impressive.
had to have tweaked his knee a little bit. I don't care what anybody says. When it happened, the X went up. They kept the camera off of him. They didn't sell the injury. Okay, like that's what like they barely like even they didn't acknowledge him limp. He didn't limp at all last night. Like it's obviously not as bad as they thought, but it initially scared him. You could tell. You could see.
And they should protect him.
Give me
They
that.
should.
Considering his
agree.
offense, definitely protect him.
He is the money in the bank. He is the money in the bank. I mean, like, why would you not want to protect the guy? You have some kind of future. Actually, like, I believe that they actually have a few things booked long term here. Like I think they actually have some things lined up that they actually want to see come to fruition. And I'm sure one of those actually involves the Money in the Bank briefcase this year. And you can't have this guy coming out and tearing his knee up. So if he says that he heard something pop or it tweaked and the MRI doesn't show a complete tear but shows a partial tear or anything like that, then you can still have him do the things he's been doing. You can still have him being physical, but not in a match where he might come off of the top rope and do something like he did the first time. And for those of you that don't want to believe that, then don't believe it. You don't have to believe anything that I say, but you can.
Just to get back,
Don't call me an idiot, you piece of crap.
Just to get back to what we were talking about with Lesnar and Cena, the build-up to this match, I think WWE, you know, with Cena's missing 2 Raws leading up to SummerSlam, and that's
Right.
huge. But I think WWE's under the impression that, you know what, it's Cena versus Lesnar. That's going to sell itself. We already have the sales through the WWE Network. That's going to be one of our biggest matches of the year. The thing I'm concerned about is the booking of the actual match, because I'm going to have a piece come out later tonight about how Cena versus Lesnar is the ultimate lose-lose situation. You can't have either guy go over.
Well, here's your thing. I mean, this is testing the waters right here. Cena being gone 2 weeks leading up to the pay-per-view, and Lesnar's going to win the title and be gone for 5 months. So let's.
You can't do that.
That's what they want to do.
Night of
They're
Champions.
crazy.
Night of Champions is the wild card, and that's gonna change our thought process.
Is it? I mean, this is just a far out prediction. This is actually my prediction. If we did our Wrestling Rumors picks for SummerSlam right now, I would say Brock Lesnar probably defeats Cena or vice versa via disqualification. Is there any chance we see Seth Rollins cash in at SummerSlam?
You are risking. You are risking running your main event as a DQ. That's for sure.
I'm just saying. I
think
worth it considering the real problems that they had that Walter alluded to.
If you have Cena defeat Brock Lesnar, you're beating the guy who just ended the streak. His first match after taking out Undertaker, he loses, and then Brock Lesnar, if he beats Cena for the title, he's never going to be on TV.
I agree, but you're putting a huge investment in your main event there, and to end it as a disqualification.
Fans will forget right away if Rollins cashes in.
Yeah, I think.
It depends on how.
To be fair, also.
But then it's Rollins with the title, and that's not. It's not ready. It's not time for that yet.
Yeah. But to be fair, it's not gonna be that the title is off every show, because I'm sure they're gonna have Heyman lording over the fact every week that his client Brock Lesnar is the WWE World Heavyweight Champion every week.
It's not gonna be.
I'll say this.
you can only milk that cow so often.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean,
I'll say this, Doug. You say it's not time yet for Rollins. If there is a time for them to put the belt on Rollins in the near future, it is the fall season when things traditionally take a little bit of a slide and they can try and get a little experimental with some stuff.
Yeah,
but the problem is, you got Night of Champions, which is going to be a big
That's what
Raw
I'm saying.
pay-per-view, and John Cena or Brock Lesnar has to be your champion going into Night of Champions, or a Roman Reigns, but they're not going to put the title on Reigns yet. So it has to be one of those two guys. And
you know what? I am totally fine with Seth Rollins cashing in and taking the title as long as they do this authority group like the corporation. Why did The Rock, who only 2 years into the company, get the title and was able to run with it after going straight from the IC title to the WWF title? Because he had a faction behind him like the corporation. That's how. He had somebody building him up constantly and making him a main event player, even though he was relatively young in the business, and it worked that way. So as long as Rollins stays in the back pocket of Triple H, and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon keep some kind of faction together as the authority guys, and they keep pushing Seth Rollins, and helping him out, helping him have DQ finishes to retain his title, and he had stellar matches with main event players, then it would be okay. But the problem is not happening at SummerSlam.
But the problem is that if you do run that kind of booking, even if the matches are stellar, do you think that the DQ finishes and the savior finishes take away towards the end, towards the guy that eventually takes the title off him?
Did you think that about Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock?
That was so long
Do
ago.
you think that about Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes? No. That's the heel tactics. When the heel champions have guys that come and help them, that are associated with them, that's the heel tactic. The heel has to cheat to win. And then the babyface will come over and actually finally get their uppings, and that's it.
Or get the cheap win, at least. I mean, Seth Rollins cashing in on John Cena after he wins this exhausting match with Brock Lesnar, that's one thing. But doing it off a DQ, it just doesn't... I don't know.
But I agree with Walter. That kills Lesnar. That kills the whole purpose.
No, he should. But I'm saying if you do that Night of Champions or something, I'm saying not at SummerSlam.
Right.
Lesnar can't lose at all until WrestleMania.
I don't disagree with you. But there are no other main event players right now.
Right, and I'll tell you one thing: he's going to lose unless they keep the title off TV for 5 months.
Well, if that's the case, then we're going to look back at... If Lesnar loses, we're going to look back at that Undertaker match and think that's the worst booking decision they've ever done. That's going to be a historic blunder.
Night Champion's got to be a triple threat.
Again, and I'm going to throw this out. I'm going to throw this out for you, Walter, because you always say this. We're overthinking this.
Right.
You got to think they weren't thinking long-term booking for Brock Lesnar when he beat the Undertaker. That was for shock value that night.
Well, PJ says Night of Champions should be a triple threat match. You could have Lesnar lose the title in that case.
And I bet you they put Batista in it.
We keep forgetting about Batista. We keep forgetting about him. I mean, he's going to walk out at some point.
Bet you him, Cena, and Lesnar, triple threat.
Batista did a contract which promised him a title run at some point when he comes back. So.
And he chances are Lesnar.
Well, chances are when Batista comes back, he'll probably be booked as a face and go up against like Orton or Triple H or something.
Oh yeah, totally. He's already hinted at the fact that he's going to, face the Evolution members when he comes back. So
they're hoping Guardians of the Galaxy gets him some face rub. Like it's going to be a good movie. It's going to be one of the highest-grossing movies of the year. Maybe people will warm up to him then.
I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see the movie opening weekend.
He could still come off as a great heel as a champion. I mean, there are plenty of face candidates you could see going through the fall months for him to go through. I mean, it's not out of the realm possibilities he makes a good heel champion coming back. And yeah, if they do book triple threat with Batista, it gets him some great heat.
Let me tell you something. Batista is still the Blue-tista getting those kinds of responses when he comes back. He's not going to be a great heel champion. Because it's the wrong kind of heat that the fans have on him. So
depends on how you turn it, though.
It's just not going to work. But let's talk about the rest of Raw. We got a new IC champion. from the pay-per-view last night. We got the Johnny Miz pulls out the victory, and again, as we talked about it earlier from the pay-per-view, that the Battle Royal itself was poorly executed.
With the exception of the Cesaro Kofi Kingston spot, those were pretty cool.
But even some of those were almost botched. They were struggling. I mean, Cesaro was struggling to get Big E over the ropes. Even I mean, it was bad. Cesaro is done for the foreseeable future.
When Heath Slater eliminates you, you're done.
We had so much. He had so much potential, so much organic growth, and now it's just.
Jack Swagger's the bigger star now.
Thank you, Heyman. Thank you, Paul Heyman, for that.
What do you think?
That's not Paul Heyman's fault.
It's not Heyman's fault.
It's not Paul Heyman's fault at all.
Bull. They put him with him just. Yes.
How is it Paul Heyman's fault when Paul Heyman's
not completely Paul Heyman's?
It's not Paul Heyman's fault. He's doing exactly what he's told to do from the booking committee, from the guys that actually hold the freaking pin. It's not Paul Heyman's fault. Don't put Heyman in a corner.
Right.
I'm just saying it's not Heyman's fault. It can't be Heyman's fault. Heyman isn't.
No, you're right. It's not all Heyman's fault.
You said it was.
You said it was his fault. Those are your exact words.
I think the way they portrayed Paul Heyman on camera, which is booking's thing, is his fault. And he constantly gets named as one of the best managers of all time. The past 3 people he have managed outside of CM Punk and Brock have all failed.
Hold on. May I, as the big guy's big guy here. Okay, even I can't defend this. I mean, they gave him a depleted Ryback character. And that was their fault in the first place. Yep. They gave him a brand new guy in Curtis Axel. Yeah, I'll say brand new guy because it was a totally different person than Michael McGillicuddy. And he had no backstory other than, his father and his grandfather. They gave him nothing to work with. With Cesaro, they gave him something to work with, but the problem was it was against exactly what the fans wanted, and they had to force feed it. They're like, Paul, you got to sell this. So Paul doing what he does best, selling it, getting heat on Cesaro. He got heat on Cesaro. Was it the best kind of heat? Maybe not necessarily, but guess what happened? They ran themselves into a brick wall with Lesnar coming back, and they're like, oh, crap. We don't know what to do anymore. So
he came out of WrestleMania. He came out of WrestleMania 30 with such a face recognition. Like he took out Swagger. He gave him the big spin. He won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Fist pump, and the whole crowd was losing.
And then the next night on Raw, when they say I'm a Paul Heyman guy, and the fans go nuts for that. Ever since the booking has just been dreadful. It's not Paul Heyman's fault. You can't blame him for that.
I'm just wondering what kind of
You're right. You guys are right. I apologize. You guys are right.
You do.
I'm just frustrated because the honest truth is I was completely. You listen to how Paul Heyman's portrayed with Michael Hayes during the CM Punk thing, which I watched right before this pay-per-view, and you hear about how in the back he's viewed as people make Paul Heyman. People think that Paul Heyman tries to get himself over, and they say that he tries to make people bigger than they are.
Yeah, it's
way too much Jay Leno, my friend.
My
this
thing
came
is
off of the.
Yeah, and anything that comes out of every single WWE produced DVD is gospel, kind of like Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior.
Can we get back to the fact that The Miz is Intercontinental Champion for a second?
Get off the fact that Paul Heyman is probably in the top 5 of managers of all time, and there's a track record to prove it, no matter what the book has to say about it. The Miz is now your Intercontinental Champion. Cesaro is dead, and that has nothing to do with Heyman. Big E is stuck with Kofi Kingston, and honestly, that would be a decent tag team if they actually run with it. Just looking at the role of mid-carders now, Heath Slater is the one-man band again, and
using the 3-man band music.
Yes, we're a 3-man band, and he comes out by himself.
We're the 2 guys.
Those Matadores are going to form a mariachi band. Ole!
Los Amigos. And then you have Titus O'Neil, who actually got a pretty decent response last night.
Sandow last night. Oh my goodness.
So Rob Van Dam gets hurt.
That deserved a promo.
Gets hurt.
I know it was just thrown in, but that deserves something.
And Sandow comes in as a beach bum since they're in Tampa, which was you could just tell. You could just tell on his face, man. He did not want to be out there. Well, the thing is, he's been owning every other character that he could actually do something with. But last week's Sonic ad and last night's Tampa beach bum was just awful, and you could tell he hated his life.
Does he come out as The Rock tonight?
It'd be interesting. And he comes out in Miami as the Rock. Damian.
Rockdale.
He'll troll the crowd as LeBron
Wayne
James.
Sandow. Wayne Sandow.
Wayne Sandow.
Dwayne the Rock Sandown Johnson. John Dow. I don't know. Who cares? Either way, it would be funny if he does. It would be funny if he comes. Well, that's just really hard to do. Unless you just call him the Sandow. But it's one of those things where he could come out. It doesn't matter. He's done. They've killed him, and it's ridiculous. Waste of talent. Bo Dallas had a good showing and had a really positive response last night, which was awesome. People are really getting behind this guy, and he's just the biggest troll gimmick ever, and I love it. But The Miz pulls one out. It was originally supposed to be Dolph Ziggler, what we got from a couple of reports today. Dolph Ziggler was supposed to win the title until WWE said, "Oh wait, we have a movie coming out. It's better if we put the title on the guy who's in the movie."
I don't buy that Ziggler was ever.
I don't buy that. I don't buy it for 1 second. Do I buy that rumor? The whole point of this whole thing with The Miz coming out with a new character, promoting the movie, which I think is great. The character, I think it's great. I think what he's doing is great. It's the best thing he's done since WrestleMania in 2011. One of the best things that he's done since that WWE title run, which he never should have touched at that point. I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move to put the IC title on him as this dickhead role. I think the IC title would have been better used on a guy like Bo Dallas. The Miz is just going to keep the Miz where he is, but I think that the new character can get over, and if the character can get over, then so can the title, and the title can benefit. We'll just have to see what happens. What do you guys think about the Miz's new character and the fact that he's the IC champion?
He got no reaction last night at all. The crowd was dead silent when he won.
Because it's the Miz, and he's going to have to get the character over.
They're probably going to substitute him in for what they were going to do with Barrett. Probably give Barrett a decent-sized title.
Well, I
Miz
think
the decent-sized title right now.
I think now more and more that they were probably going towards a Sheamus Barrett match at SummerSlam to unify. That, to me, at least, is what it seems like they were doing, and that would have been great. But I think now you'll just see him supplement with that. I saw people were speculating that's going to be Ziggler and Miz, and I don't see that. I think it's Sheamus all the way.
We may see Ziggler and Miz tonight on Raw.
Yeah, but not full time.
Yeah.
No.
Is this the Miz's character the same as The Rock when he came back from filming his, I think, Walking Tall? It's the same type of gimmick, right?
It's to a more douchey white guy degree.
Johnny Cage.
Rock was more, you can kiss my ass.
Right, like I'm so much better than you.
Yeah. Rock was more, I grew wrestling.
Right. Rock was more, I'm an amazing wrestler, I know it, and I'm now a movie star, like, adore me. The Miz is, my face looks better than yours, don't touch it. And more of just a douche. With the Rock was being a douche, but it was still super entertaining, and he couldn't actually get over as a full heel because of it. The Miz can definitely get over as a full heel with this character. It's just
I guess Tyler Breeze isn't coming up anytime soon.
Right. I know,
the
right?
exact same gimmick.
Well, Miz is more. Tyler
This
Breeze
is more Hollywood. Tyler Breeze
Right.
is more superficial. But it's like,
Tyler
yeah, I think
Breeze is
don't
more
touch my
blue
feet.
steel. Yes, Tyler Breeze is definitely blue steel, and the Miz is more Andy Kaufman, definitely. And I think that's what we're gonna.
Johnny Cage, baby.
Yeah. By the way, whoever, I think it must have been you, Doug, who made that like meme of the Johnny Cage look-alike to the Miz. That was absolutely hilarious last night.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's I don't know why
He checks his tweets.
he's missing out on
He checks
money.
his tweets, Doug. He may. You never know.
He's missing out on money. If you see him tonight, pull out an 8x10, sign it, and throw it on someone's body. That's
all Doug.
Now, the only thing is that I'm actually, now that I think about it afterwards, I'm kind of happy that they didn't decide to go through with Bo Dallas, just because I really don't think, I think that they're trying to push Sheamus a little harder than we would have anticipated, especially if they do Barrett, or with Barrett out. And I kind of think that would have potentially stalled Dallas's momentum, especially with the 15-0 and the undefeated streak. So I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like maybe it's better for him not to have gotten that title that quickly. But I don't know. It's all up in the air for Bo going forward.
No, it's
So
nothing but bright skies and sunshine.
They still have no idea what they're doing with the U.S. title. I mean, Sheamus hasn't had maybe less than 5 defenses since he won a battle royal for it.
Well, let's remember that Dean Ambrose had 5 in a year. So
yeah.
These titles are definitely getting unified by the time the logo comes out and they start presenting everyone with new belts.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I agree completely.
Well,
I
mean,
United Continental title.
Just going back to what we said about Brock, what way to make a title more meaningful if you have a singles men's title for 5 months without him on TV? You have to use that belt.
Yeah,
so
we've said
if
that.
you unify those titles,
I have no idea what point you're making.
I don't know what you're talking about with Lesnar. If you unify the titles, so we're talking about the
There's
IC.
nothing to do with the Intercontinental.
well, no.
Yeah.
If
One
you
men's
unify,
title?
if Lesnar wins the title, and then if Lesnar wins the title from Cena, and then you have the titles unified, you have to use that title, that single title, in a meaningful way, which automatically gives it credit that both the Intercontinental and United States Championship.
Oh,
He's
the
saying-
World Championship, you have to make the mid-card title look good.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Okay.
Well, if you want the
Which
mid-card
has
title,
been the
you
can't
case.
speak.
Which has been the
company.
case. That's been the case since TLC, and they just haven't done it. And now
Yeah.
they needed to unify it. They needed to make the mid card title seem more important. Now that they only have one big main title, and they just haven't done it. But we talked about, we hit on it earlier. We hit on the fact that yesterday we were saying there were reports about the Russian angle going to get turned down, and I said it should probably get cranked up. And what happened last night? They
Cranked it up.
and of course, it had to
They
be
played dumb.
had to be foreign people that got
Yeah.
offended by it, because the Americans were like USA, which shows that it's working. But, the British people over there were going, "Oh, this is not right to talk lightly of this Russian event."
That's what Benson sounds like, brother.
Took place. But it's one of those things where I thought exactly what they needed to do. They didn't actually say what they were talking about. When they actually used current events, is what they said.
But then they released that ridiculous statement.
That
I know,
statement
I
was
love that. It's
such
the most
horse crap.
amazing
I
thing.
almost
They're like,
refused.
that's all
we
they have
didn't
to say.
realize.
But that's all they have to say. And they're
We
saying
didn't realize.
they're protected from just saying that this angle's been going on for the last 3 months. The whatever happened has nothing to do with their characters, and they did not specifically, say anything about that situation. And
So
to me, I'd say you just keep doing what you're doing, and you keep flaunting it, you keep promoting Putin, and it's going to bring heat, and it's going to be. I saw someone earlier was asking if Rusev was going to get more heat than Muhammad Hassan got, and I'm like, Hassan didn't get that much heat in the first place.
It's more heat on Lana than Rusev.
Definitely, the heat is on Lana because she's the mouthpiece, and I think it works great. I think that they just need to keep going, and I think that this has the potential if they keep doing this, and even if our current events actually do get to a boiling point where Putin doesn't apologize and we
Get into a conflict.
get into some kind of conflict with Russia, it's just going to make this storyline get better and better. And of course, like I talked about last night, giving us that count-out victory, that gives us a purpose for Jack Swagger going into SummerSlam. I just think over the next few weeks we see Zeb Culture get the absolute snot kicked out of him too, to make it even more personal for Jack Swagger. I think we're going to get that. And what do you guys think? Do we think SummerSlam is the event or Night of Champions is the event where Swagger gets the rub?
Probably Night of Champions.
I would do it at SummerSlam.
Agreed.
SummerSlam.
I would do it at SummerSlam because if you wanted to do one more match with Rusev after that, you could, and let that be your steamroll of Rusev into his big rise in the fall season. Because you don't want him losing at Night of Champions.
No, you don't want him losing more than one match.
Right.
And
exactly.
that one victory for Swagger is going to put him over so much more than
Right.
And you really don't want this storyline to drag out for 3 pay-per-views.
Oh, I don't think it should.
Because Paige and AJ is probably going to do that. So is Jericho, Wyatt, definitely
Rollins.
Ambrose. You don't want everything to follow that same line of thought. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think that they're looking at that. They're looking at trying to do more long-term booking. I guarantee you, we get Wyatt's versus Usos again at SummerSlam.
I think there will be some kind of other element involved with it.
It'll be
maybe
the
a certain NXT team that I've been mentioning forever.
It'll be the Dust.
I think it's more likely to be Goldust and Stardust.
Yeah, it'll be the Dust that get
No,
involved.
it's not going to be.
You lost your mind.
They've been doing what? Because they've done some backstage promos.
Every backstage promo has been talking about what they're looking to the stars to try to get the gold, and it always comes down to they're trying to hint at the fact that it's time for a title match.
Well, there have literally been no indications at all that the Ascension are coming up.
Nope, just the fact they're working dark matches, because if it's dark matches, Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville have been working dark matches.
I think there was a tweet put out by the Ascension.
We are going to get a ton of vignettes for the Ascension before they debut, because there's no way that's a team that can just debut out of nowhere and people will be like, oh, this is awesome. Like they
are more familiar
they need
network.
No, it's phenomenal.
They don't need
percentage. No, see, that's where you're wrong, Walter, and that's where a lot of people are wrong. The percentage of people who watch NXT compared to the entire casual WWE universe is so marginal and small that if you surveyed an entire arena of 15,000 people, there's a very small percentage of that who would be actively familiar with who the Ascension is.
You know what? That may be true, but WWE is probably under the assumption that if you have the WWE network, you watch literally everything. So they don't need to build up the Ascension like that. They might think that though. That wouldn't fool me at all.
But if there's one thing they could be learning from the failed debut of Emma and the failed debut of, you could look at Paige.
Adam Rose.
You can look at Paige as not having a failed debut, but yes, it was. She won the title, whatever. Her first show was great, and then she went on to do nothing for 3 months, to not get over. Until she's done this thing with AJ Lee. Since AJ Lee's come back, she was coming out to crickets. And now she's getting a response because she's working with AJ Lee. There was no backstory for Paige. There's no backstory for Emma. We didn't understand why the hell she was out there poking bubbles with a sign.
Adam Rose is the perfect example.
Adam Rose is the same.
But they gave him vignettes, though.
Yeah.
They gave him
a
party bus and 4 weeks of a thing. And it was one of those things where they kind of tried but didn't really. The Shield came out and did exactly what they were supposed to do. There was no backstory for the Shield, but you got to see what they were about and who they were with backstage promos when they started. The NWO gritty style, holding the camera themselves, promos were excellent. It started making a connection instantly, and that was the thing that really made the Shield get over. The Wyatts had some of the best video production promos I've seen in a long time to explain who they were before they came out.
Warhood, who are the 2 people who are in the Ascension?
What? Something Connor is one of them.
And who's the other?
I watch NXT every weekend too.
There you
Patrick,
go.
who are the 2 people in the Ascension?
My point was
It's
just
Connor and Victor, by the way.
My point was
well,
just
that was
Victor too, my God.
All right, okay. Let me just say this though. We're obviously going to differ on this whole topic, but at SummerSlam, if you have the Dust Brothers challenging the Usos, do you really need the Wyatt family in there again? They've now lost 2 straight pay-per-views.
Yeah,
It
because
would just be in there, but just to make the match better. They don't really need to be there.
What else are they going to do?
Do Bray Wyatt stuff. Escort him to the ring for his
we're
Jericho.
not denying that the tag team scene sucks.
No, definitely not.
All the more
saying
reason to bring somebody up.
Could
I'm
they
not
use a
saying
team like
the
the Ascension? They
Right.
could use a team like the Ascension.
Yes,
but
I
it
agree.
just doesn't. I don't know.
It's not.
All right.
But
they
can't
have
they-
to build them up and explain what the hell their gimmick is?
Well,
But
you at
can't
least
they
agree
do
with
something with the guys they have before they start bringing other people up? Can't they?
Good
I mean,
point.
we just talked about Doug. You just mentioned like Big E and Kofi possibly into a tag team. Can't they do at least try something like that before they get into the fall season?
Look, here's my thing. If the tag team works and it's booked correctly, then yes.
Like the Real Americans.
The Real Americans were a perfect example of that. You take two stars that weren't working well by themselves, you put them together, you book them well, you give them unified attires, you make it look like they are now a tag team. They are not just two separate entities put together in a tag team, and it works. Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston was floundering. Evan Bourne was floundering. Air Boom wasn't a bad tag team. They weren't. They were entertaining, and it wasn't. It wasn't that bad. But when you take guys like, I'll go ahead and say, if you take, and John, you can play whatever card you want to play here. When you take R-Truth and Xavier Woods and put them in a tag team, but yet still have them be R-Truth and Xavier Woods with no unified tag team,
Characteristics.
some kind of not even characteristics, because they have plenty of similar characteristics. But like attire and the same kind of unified thought process.
The
of why they do
the
what they
vision
do.
between the two of
Right.
them.
It's not like we're here as a tag team to go after the tag team titles. It's just they acknowledge the fact that there's nothing for either one of them to do. We're throwing them together for a tag team.
But Kofi and Big E are
same thing for Kofi and Big E, then it's not going to work.
They're being booked as friends, though, that just kind of help each other out once in a while. Not really a team.
Right, but I'm saying that they could be used as a tag team if they wanted to do that right.
Right, but, I mean, with the Usos as champions, unless it's like a triple threat or a fatal four-way, it's going to be a heel team to take it off them. And unless you have high hopes for Ryback, like Alex Bisong probably does, I think the Ascension should be at least considered one of the favorites to do it. Can't there anyone else who is capable of doing it?
I agree that the Ascension is a tag team that's already been established as a tag team. They are there to take tag team titles. They're there to not be single superstars, but to be a tag team. And that's what I want to see more of, Patrick, to answer your question. If you're going to throw a bunch of people in, like this star that's not working out by himself and this star that's not working out by himself, you're going to put those two stars together as a tag team. You got to start establishing the fact that they are a tag team now. They're not just singles competitors put together. And I think that the reason that if that doesn't work after a while, I mean, Ryback, you can say what you want about them. They've tried to be, they mush their names together, they mush their stupid themes together, and they tried to make them a unified tag team. But yet they still go out and they still compete in, IC title battle royals against each other. They still go out and go in singles matches against other people for singles titles. Which to me, that's not going to bump up some tag team into a prestigious place if the tag team consistently splits up and faces the other people for singles titles.
And if you want to go the route of the Ascension, the way you debut them is one of two things. You either give them these weeks and weeks and weeks of prolonged, in-depth vignettes, or you have them make the attack, and then before they have another match, you need weeks of them saying, this is who we are, this is why we're here.
Yep. It's the Shield. It's the same thing that they did with the Shield.
Exactly.
Which I think could work, and I think it needs it. I think the tag team division needs the Ascension. I'm not saying that they don't.
Right.
I'm just saying that we need a better debut than them just coming out of left field.
Right.
It's a shame because in NXT right now, like what you say about all of these superstars who have nothing to do being thrown together, down in NXT, if you actually watch the program, there's a lot of legitimate tag. I love the Vaudevillains. They're one of my favorites. I also like the Legionnaires, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. I'm probably missing a couple. They're making a tag team called the Mechanics. Those are actual tag teams, not just two guys who have nothing else to do.
Because they're right, and they're starting that early. They're going ahead and making them in NXT so they can just ship them up as a unified tag team, which is good. I mean, we need tag teams, so I'm excited about that. We don't know where that's gonna wind up going, but the Raw.
Could it just be that the Ascension had a missed opportunity about 2 months ago while the Usos and the Wyatts were having these amazing matches?
No,
in 2
not at
pay-per-views,
all.
or is it just
I think by October we will have the Ascension on the main roster. It has to be done in a quality way. It can't just be like, we need the Ascension, let's just bring them up, let's just get them in here.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Literally what everyone is saying. Everyone's like, we need the Ascension now.
I'm gonna say something. If they do debut them just as they have Emma and Paige and everybody else, they're not going to work. It's good. They're
going to fail.
They're going to be a brand. They're going to be just like the re-debut of Primo and Epico. They're going to be just like Los Luchadores. They're going to come in as a unified group with a unified song and a unified look, and they're going to have tag team moves that they use with each other, and it's not going to work though. It's just not. You have to build these guys. I mean, these guys are monsters. Okay, these guys are powers of pain. Okay, these guys are this generation's what you would look at as a Legion of Doom style of tag team. You have to build them that way, and if you don't, you're screwing yourself in the butthole. Like you can't do that. You're gonna lose this thing that you've been building over the last few months if you don't. I mean, you've got to debut them right and build them up when they come in. And I think the same thing goes with Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn. Yes, people have seen them on NXT, but you've got to build them up with backstories too. They can't just come in. They can't. They got to stop doing that because it's ruining characters.
And maybe it happens tonight, Walter. Maybe the Usos are out there and the Ascension just attacks, but then from now to SummerSlam, it has to be all purpose. Why are we here?
That was actually a bold prediction of mine. Yeah. I think if they're going to debut the Ascension tonight, would be a perfect night to do it.
But I still think it's all about Stardust and Goldust. Truth be told.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just they formed this tag team with Cody Rhodes having a new gimmick and a new moveset, which evolves every single week and is freaking crazy. The stuff he's doing is nuts. And the last few Mondays, they haven't actually wrestled a match. They've just done backstage segments. I think they're trying to make you feel like these guys are at least a cohesive unit of weirdos, and then they're going to start sicking them on the tag team division. And we're going to get. I mean, they've already killed Ryback, and if you ask me, I don't think Ryback is going to exist much longer. I think these guys are going to get.
Could you see them?
They're going to get killed, and they're going to both go into lower mid card status.
Well, they were teasing Ryback and Sheamus last night during the Battle Royals, so.
Oh, that's a match.
Could you see that?
No, I mean maybe they're banking on Ryback. Yeah, maybe they're banking on Ryback having a little bit more in a singles push, not as a world champion, but as a mid card guy.
Could you see the a pre-show for SummerSlam being Ryback versus Curtis Axel?
Oh, that would put some butts in the seats.
Just as many bucks as Cameron and Naomi.
Yeah, but it's SummerSlam. They're not going to do that. It's SummerSlam.
Don't hate on Cameron. Another Walter classic.
What was the pre-show for SummerSlam last year?
Oh, let's see.
The first match was Wyatt Kane.
Someone?
It was Ambrose and Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
Oh wow, yeah, for the U.S. title, yeah.
So I mean,
that was a good match.
It's a solid draw for your kickoff match. So
it was a good match too. It was a really good match.
I can't believe I remembered that. Holy crap! What am I doing with my life?
I just said Ziggler because he seemed to be on every pre-show last year.
No, between Ziggler and Miz, yeah, there was a lot of pre-shows over the last year and a half. But speaking of pre-shows, the Raw pre-show goes live in 4 minutes, so I hope that you enjoy the program tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed this program. Again, moving to 6:30 p.m. gives us a lot more viewers. We thank you for taking time to sit and listen to us just bitch and moan and talk and rant and rave.
And literally moan.
And literally moan at the beginning of the show. Someone was moaning ever so seductively in our ears. And one of those things where we thank you guys. We do this for you. We're glad that you've enjoyed this time together. Don't forget that you can follow us on Twitter at WrestlingRumors. We're going to be live tweeting all night during Raw tonight. It's another 3-hour program. And I'll tell you what, with 6 hours of wrestling between 48 hours, actually between 24 hours, I'm going to need some fun tonight through the show. So make sure that you follow us at WrestlingRumors. I'll be live tweeting there. Just join me. Let's have some fun. Let's make fun of whatever and make it a little bit more lighthearted throughout the thing to get me through so that I don't pass out and fall asleep. We hope that you enjoy the program. The kickoff starts in 3 minutes on the WWE Network. It's just them talking from a studio now, so go enjoy that, and we'll catch you on the next one, which will be next Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.